Welcome to the mental health vlog. This next topic is a bit heavier for me, and I wasn't even sure I was going to do it or broach it because it really there's no way to really broach this without it feeling weird. And with everybody who claims mental health issues online, I feel vulnerable even doing this, but I want to put it out there so that people who are going through this know that you're not alone and maybe give people more of an understanding of those of us with bipolar and schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder. Now, when I was diagnosed as schizophrenic, I was in a bad way. I was not lucid. And for me, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around now being what is known as lucid through getting help and taking medications and just how it feels weird, knowing that your mind isn't always there, still dealing with the paranoia, still hearing things in your head that you now understand aren't, and I can't say they aren't voices because they're clear as day, but they aren't like different beings or whatever. I just feel that people who haven't lived this, who can't understand what this headspace is like, you get like a Hollywood version of what it's like, you've had a TV version. So to try to put in perspective what being non lucid versus being lucid is for me, I know it's not going to be phantasmal, because I don't have a big budget, but I can tell you what I feel is the reality for me. For me, when I was non lucid, everything around me, whether I could see it, touch it, taste it, smell it, was there. It was as if I was in this world, but not really in it. I was in an airport in my mind, apparently, at one point when I was having a nervous breakdown. Sat down, thought I was about to get on the plane. I was actually in a mental hospital's waiting room to be checked in. But everything around me looked, felt, smelled like an airport. And I've traveled, so I've been in airports several times over. You could not tell my mind until I got enough medication to pull me back into so called reality that I wasn't there, that the people around me weren't there, but they weren't. And I think the scariest part of getting help and getting my mind to the level of being here is that fear of slipping again that I think a lot of us go through, and it's torture. Your mind is literally your biggest fighter. Your mind is your biggest bully. You are trying to make sense of your mind not making sense. And then you're hearing things and you're seeing things, and paranoia is basically your BFF, and it's hell. And then you add the double whammy of the manic moods where you have this big burst of energy and you feel like you could take on the world and you're up and you just want to do everything in between, and then you come crashing down because that abyss that calls to you comes sinking in and your body hurts and you just don't want to deal with anyone or anything. And it is the two worst elements I think I could have put together as somebody who has always felt creative and write and draw to crash upon the fracturedness of schizophrenia, the paranoia, the scattered thoughts, the having so many analytical thoughts in my mind at times that it feels like knives in my brain at times. And I have to get it out like this so that people understand. And I know by saying it like this, some people are like, wow, you are crazy. Yeah. And I'm not ashamed of that anymore because it's mental illness, not mental character flaws. I'm not using it to excuse bad behavior, especially online, because that seems to be a real thing. That seems to be somebody gets YouTube famous or Twitch famous or any kind of Hollywood famous. They act out and they fall back on the mental illness. They get in front of a camera and they cry and go, "You don't understand." And it's like, I get emotional. I don't do it on cue, obviously. I'm very detached and I've made my peace with that. I've talked about that in other vlogs. I've also been diagnosed with sociopathy. So I know that emotion doesn't come to me like your average person. I just made peace with that. But what I can't stand is this rise of people trying to put a focus on mental illness as a cover for their behavior, whether they are chasing after minors and not supposed to, whether they lie and backstab their friends and then get caught out, whether they want to be a bad bitch until that bad bitch behavior bites them in the ass, and then all of a sudden we need to respect their mental health levels. I'm tired of it. Y'all are wearing my reality as an accessory, and it's not fair. Because don't nobody want to talk about mental health when it comes to needed funding and facilities so that we're not having the police suck upon us. Because that is one of the biggest fears of mine right now. The struggle I have to keep lucid so I don't have to deal with the police. Because as you can see, I have enough issues with fearing having law enforcement called on me. And I don't need my mind not being right to give them any more reason to want to put a bullet into me. But that's the reality for so many people with mental health issues, whether they're black, white, or in between. And there's a problem with our dialogue on mental health because it's still coming across as if we are admonishing people for a character flaw, as if we chose our minds to be this way. And I'm not okay with that anymore. I'm not saying that those YouTube, Twitch people that are going through some things don't have mental health issues, because depression is a real issue with humanity and society. And I can go through all the reasons why that is. But truth be known, I'm not here to diagnose people. I'm here to tell you, as somebody who is officially diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, it pains me seeing people with influence and platforms and celebrities talk about mental illness only after they fuck up, and then have people associate mental illness with all of that bad. Because those of us who are just trying to keep our peace, just trying to do the right thing, just trying to have our shit together so that our lives aren't messed up in the worst way, trying to keep out of mental hospitals, because even though we do need more facilities, the ones that we currently have and the ones that I was put away in the past were no fun. And I don't want to go back to them. I don't want to wake up after not being lucid in one of those places. It is a big fear of mine. It keeps me up some nights worrying if I am just going to wake up one day and have everything that I've went through these last few years just be me still in that hospital room, surrounded by nothing but white walls. Just everything that happened just didn't happen, because that is how real non-lucid world is. That's what I'm going to call it from now on, because that's what it was. I feel like I was really traversing a whole entire world while I was still here. And sometimes it was scary, and sometimes it was mundane. But I'm telling you, when I say everything I felt, everything I smelled, everything I heard, all my interactions felt like I was there, only to find out that no, it was all a hallucination. And that is a scary thing to put up with. And too many people try to fake it. And like I said, I get that depression has no rhyme or reason. So I get that there are people out there that really are famous and then they go through it, especially when you're in a business where public opinion weighs onto your mind. But honestly speaking, we need to shift the dialogue away from mental health in correlation when somebody fucks up, because that's the only time people want to talk about that reality. And there are millions of us out there. And there are millions of us who are finally getting help and talking about mental health because it's in fashion now. but people are still not understanding what we're going through, and you're still lumping us all into stuff. Like, you got to realize we are a spectrum of things. The way I handle schizoaffective disorder isn't going to be the same as somebody who is raised differently, whether they had both parents there, whether both their parents were good or bad influences, whether they were supportive or abusive. There are so many different factors in our life and livelihoods. Being a Gen Xer, I had a lot more pressure on me than somebody with this that might have been younger and was taken care of, or somebody who was abused even worse. I think there are people out there that are still trying to figure us out because a lot of us don't talk. A lot of us barely get help. And when we do, it's after we have hit the low that is like we don't have a choice in the matter. Right now, even speaking because of the pandemic, I don't get to see a doctor the way I was going and getting the help the way I was going. I get pills. The pills keep my mind regulated. But I'm sure that anybody who would like to study me as I am right now would have a field day, because there are times where I remember things now that I didn't when I was in the really bad lucid phase that I would love to try to make sense of. But if I said it aloud, not only do I feel what people would think of the stuff that I've seen, but I wonder, you know, am I slipping back into it? So it's a mess. So I just want people to understand that this is a reality for a lot of us. It really is a health issue. We're not saying it for pity. I don't care if you guys, believe me or not, because I know what I went through. I know what I don't want to go through. I know what a lot of people who have this are going through. And I just want those of you who are going through this to know I see you and I understand. And it's not easy, y'all. But if you can get help, if you can get somebody to hear you, please do it. Because right now, especially with these times, it's even worse on our psyche. The things that have been keeping me up at night, wondering why are we doing this, has been bad. And I know I'm not the only one, because when I put it out there on Twitter the other night, so many people responded to it feeling the same way. We are up way too late, and getting sleep is very important, y'all. So you need to start doing that, me included. But it can be so hard to shut this off. So hard to tell yourself, hey, it's okay. We don't have to think about the whys and the wheres and the in betweens tonight. Go to bed. Sleep is very important in this, because I realize that if I don't get enough to recharge whatever mental energies I exhaust during the day, that's when the hallucinations happen. That's when the voices get even louder. Sometimes the depression decides to give me a 1-2 combo punch, and it's just a toxic cocktail that puts me down for the count. So it's self care to get sleep at this point. And it's also okay to not be okay. There are many days, especially during the winter for me, with it all being gray and cold. And since we've been locked down for a bit, and even as an introvert, this lockdown has been rough on all of us. But I feel like right now, especially not knowing who's sick, not knowing if I'm going to get another message that somebody I care about has either died from this or infected with this, it weighs on my brain. So if you have these disorders or any kind of mental health disorder right now, I see you and I know it's hard. And I really hope that you're not alone in this physically. But if you are and you found this video, that you know I see you. It can be hard feeling like nobody understands this. That was my biggest fear with doing these. That talking about this, people would still not understand. But I know yous are out there. Yous reach out to me all the time on Twitter. And I'm grateful for it, because I feel less weird about my reality now. But I do say that this isn't easy. It is a treacherous path to walk, keeping your mind focused and away from the non lucid times, because it just feels so real. But I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for tuning into this one. It's not a super long one. I'll probably do a more in-depth one about this when I'm feeling more comfortable. I just wanted to give a glimpse of what it's like for me as a schizoaffective disorder person, because a lot of people, when you say it, it's in my bio on Twitter, I'm sure some people who have it go, oh, okay, there's another one of me. But other people are like, what's that? It's schizophrenia and bipolar disorder together. It's the reason why there are days where when I'm lucid like this, I can talk coherently, clearly, some might even say eloquently, and convey stuff. And then when I'm not lucid, I can say some maddening, crazy stuff, apparently. And it's like I said, bits and pieces of those dark days from when I was living in Florida are coming back. I don't remember all of them, but there's enough that have been propping up to make me wonder about the stuff I've seen, the way I navigated what I feel was a it felt like I was on a second Earth. That's the best way I can put it. But I'm going to wrap this up this week. I thank everybody who has been supporting me by sharing these, weighing in. I see your comments. I really appreciate it, y'all. But I got to pace myself with these because I feel vulnerable when I do these vlogs. I feel vulnerable talking about mental health because, like I said, the only time our illness comes up in conversation is when people are using it to excuse bad behavior. And that stigma makes it hard for us to share. But I'm going to keep trying. So I will see y'all next week. And thank you again for tuning in.